Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hennessey Performance YouTube channel. I'm your host, James, and today, as you can see, we are in the actual Hennessey Performance Workshop today. So you may hear some noises, you may hear a lift going up and down, a machine beeping, an impact whirring, but just keep in mind we're in an active work environment for this one. So today, oil change on a RAM TRX, that's what we're gonna get into. We'll go over a basic inspection on it, look at some key pain points that may be present in a vehicle that you're working on or a vehicle that you're servicing. And really other than that, simple oil change. So we're gonna go over tools, fluids, filters, what you need, and we'll get right into it. For this oil change today on the TRX, we're gonna need a few tools to get the job done. First and foremost, a pair of gloves to protect our skin and a pair of safety glasses to protect our eyes. Then you're gonna need 3/8 ratchet, an extension, 13mm socket for the drain plug, a 16mm socket to remove the skid plates, an impact to make removing the skid plates a little easier, and then a filter cloth for removing that oil filter. Also today, we're gonna be using Pennzoil Platinum 0W40 full synthetic. This is the SRT recommended OE oil for all Hellcat engines, and we'll be using a factory MO899 Mopar oil filter. A couple things to keep in mind when doing your oil change on your TRX to keep you and whoever's near you safe. So first and foremost, safety glasses, because the oil that's coming out of this truck can be hot, it can project really far, and it might splash and get in your eyes or face. Like I talked about earlier, a good pair of nitrile gloves to keep that oil off of your skin. Again, it's gonna be pretty hot and there could be some contaminants in there that will irritate your skin. And thirdly, we're gonna be putting this truck on a 2-post lift. So you're gonna wanna follow all of your normal safety precautions for a 2-post lift. You know, slightly raise it off the ground, give it a nice shake check, and check with your vehicle's owner's manual or some online publications to verify the correct lift points for your application. So first step, we're gonna put the truck on the 2-post lift, make sure that it's safely raised up in the air, and then we can take the skid plates off, get to draining our oil, taking our filter off. Now that we've got the vehicle up in the air, we're gonna take those skid plates off that we talked about. So this front one is going to cover our oil filter, which lives right about here. And this rear one, we don't actually need to take off because we have a cutout for the oil drain plug. So just the one. Now that we're getting to taking things off, we're gonna introduce flying debris. We're gonna introduce possibly rust or things dropping in our eyes. And we don't want any of that to get in there. So time to switch into safety glasses. So to take our skid plate off, we're gonna need that 16mm socket that we talked about and the extension. We're gonna first break those bolts loose by hand, and then we'll use the impact to take them the rest of the way out. Cool. Now we use our impact. Got it. And just to avoid it dropping on our head, I like to leave one corner bolt in. We're gonna just loosen these two. There we go. And now, if we can control the descent of the skid plate easily. Just like that, skid plate's off. Another very useful tool we're gonna bring in now is our drain barrel. You gotta have a place to put the oil. So let's get it positioned under our drain plug. And looks like our drain plug is a 13. So we will grab our extension, 13mm, and our ratchet, and break that thing loose. Oh. Woo, that one was tight. So now we'll very gingerly and very slowly back that drain plug out. Doing our best to hold on to it. Remember, this engine is screaming hot. If it drops in our pan, yep, like that, no big deal. We'll let that oil start to drain. All right, our oil's almost finished draining there. We're gonna wait until it's not a steady stream anymore, but just little drops. So in this time, we'll go ahead and clean our drain plug off. And now that we've got our drain plug cleaned off, this is a good time to inspect the seal there. Some drain plugs will have a small rubber gasket, others will have a copper crush washer, a felt crush washer. So it's a good time to inspect this seal, see if it needs replaced, and definitely always refer to an online publication or your owner's manual to determine if that is a one-time use seal or not. Now that our oil stream is reduced to a very, very thin stream, almost just a dribble, we're gonna go ahead and put our clean drain plug back in. And for now, we'll just tighten it up with our ratchet, but we will come back and torque that to factory specification. Now, with the oil draining through that hole in the skid plate, we did make a little bit of a mess. So just go ahead and take a rag, give that a quick little clean. Doesn't have to look brand new, but there shouldn't be any oil dripping out of it when you're done. So now we're gonna move up front. We're gonna take that oil filter off and let that part drain. So our oil filter is located right up here on the engine. We're gonna use that filter claw that I previously mentioned to go ahead and loosen that up, and then we'll undo it the rest of the way by hand. Let it drain right through this nice drip tray that Dodge included for us. Filter claw extension, and we'll pop it on our ratchet here. Now we'll probably have to weave this in between our oil cooler lines here. Let's hold those out of the way. Get right up there on that filter. Nice. Just stack it off nice and easy until I don't feel much resistance. It's about right there. And the rest we'll do by hand. We're gonna back it off until it just starts dribbling out of there. Like that. And as that stream dies down, we're gonna keep backing the filter off. Once you get to the last couple of threads, you're gonna have an increase in oil flow like that. Let that drain for just a second. It'll drain most of the oil out of the filter. And then you can remove your filter without making a big mess. Now that we got our old filter off, we're gonna go ahead and prepare our new oil filter. As you can see, we've got a Mopar brand filter today. However, use whichever filter that fits your needs for your car. Here at Hennessey Performance, we like to stick with the OEM or the best OE equivalent oil filter that we can get our hands on. It just ensures that our customers have an easier time servicing their vehicles. That way, when they go to their dealer or preferred service center, they can almost guarantee that they're gonna have this oil filter and that oil in stock and be able to service their vehicle anywhere in the United States. It's time to install our new oil filter. So, there's a lot of debate online around pre-filling oil filters, not pre-filling oil filters, but there's one thing that there's no debate around, and that's the fact that this seal needs lubrication. So, we're gonna get just the tiniest amount of oil on our fingers. Typically, there's enough in the cap to be able to get it out. So, put that on our finger, get a little bit of oil, just the thinnest layer, spread around that gasket. Now, we'll take our rag, we'll go up to our filter housing and we'll double check that the old filter and the old seal are no longer there. So you can also check your filter here, because we don't want to double gasket that, but see how we've got our rubber gasket right there, so we know that that gasket is not stuck to the housing up there. We'll take a towel, clean off our drip tray, clean off our oil filter housing, and get ready to reinstall this oil filter. Spin that on there. Probably move our drain out of the way. And then all we're gonna do, we're gonna spin it with our hands. So right about there. At that point, I can't spin it anymore with my hands. That's plenty tight enough for that salad spin on filter. So on some vehicles that you will be servicing, including this Ram 1500, there may be extra drain plugs, extra places that you can drain oil out of the system. If we look in service data for this 1500 TRX, it'll tell us that there is one more drain plug. If you'll come under the car here, you'll see we have a drain plug right here on the bottom of our oil cooler. So what this will allow us to do is this will drain out the oil that's still in this oil cooler and some of the oil that's trapped in these lines here. It's always a good idea to check service information to find out little things like this. So let's get looks like a 15 or 16 millimeter. Let's pull that plug. So that drain plug is a 15 millimeter. So we just need to grab our 15 socket and ratchet, reach up here. Since this is in a rubber mount, I'm gonna use one hand to brace the oil cooler. Oh, look at that. Wasn't even that tight. So now, we'll position our drain pan. Again, making sure to stay out of the way of oil here because it can be very hot. And eventually this comes out. There we go. Cool. So check that out. We actually are getting quite a bit of oil out of that. So we're gonna go ahead and let that drain, clean off our drain plug and inspect our seal just like the other one. And then we'll get to filling the truck up. Now that our oil stream is reduced to just a few drops, we're gonna go ahead and put our clean drain plug back in. Some drain plugs are very long-winded. And we'll get our ratchet here with a 15 on it. Go ahead and tighten that up. Remember, this was not very tight to begin with and only needs just to be snugged up. So, wipe off any residual oil. Now it's time to put the skid plate back on, go up top and pour some oil in it. So positioning this skid plate can be a little tricky. As you'll notice, you've got the front two bolts are actually notched. So what you can do is you can leave them up in the frame here, in this bumper support, thread it in about 3 or 4 threads on each side. We'll adjust that one down. And that way, you can take your skid plate, slide one in, slide the other one in, and now it's much easier to support while you put the rest of the bolts in. Start with a corner bolt here. Notice that the middle bolts are significantly longer and also blue. Important to remember, though it would be very difficult to install them in the wrong location. All right. We'll grab our 16 millimeter, our extension, and our impact, and we will very slowly run these up. Like that. You can kind of assist, kind of hold the skid plate up with one hand there. Makes it a little easier on your impact. All right. We'll grab our ratchet. Just verify real quick that these are nice and tight by hand. Boom. Okay. Nice. And we'll go back, double check, make sure these are torqued to factory specification. Now that we've got our skid plate on and torqued to factory spec, we're going to go ahead and lower the truck down, grab 8 quarts of our 0W40 Pennzoil, and finish this oil change. Now we're ready to add oil to the TRX. So, being that this truck is lifted, it's a little bit harder to access that oil cap. I'm just going to go ahead and use a step stool. And also, you're going to want to grab a funnel that works well for your application. Some vehicles you may need a longer funnel, some you might need short. This one works great for the TRX. So, let's get it going. So our oil fill cap is located way back here. We're gonna go ahead and open that up, stick our funnel in, just like that. Grab our oil here, and very carefully pour it in there. Good way to mix the oil. So we got 2 quarts in there now. Our TRX takes a total of 8 quarts, so 6 more to go. And if you want, you can get that oil stream started. And on this type of funnel, you can just dunk it upside down and leave it there. All right, and that is number 8. So now we'll go ahead and pull the dipstick out, verify that our oil level is within the safe area. And if it is, we'll start up the engine, let it run for 30 to 60 seconds, shut it down, and double check our oil level. Yep, our engine oil is right at the full mark. Now that we verified our engine's full of oil, let's go ahead and get our funnel and put our oil cap back on. Let's go start the truck up. Ready? With that final check of the oil level, our oil change is complete. So, as always, and with any oil change, double check under your vehicle for leaks after you've ran it for that 30 to 60 seconds, and double check that oil level once again. If it's low, go ahead and add a little bit. If it's a little bit over full, you can just pull that drain plug for a few seconds and drain out the required amount. Guys, that's gonna wrap it up for the oil change here on our Mammoth 900 TRX. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching another great video on the Hennessey Performance YouTube channel. We hope to see you again for more content. Thanks. See ya!